Hi everyone, and welcome once again to my video blog. I haven't made a video in almost 3 months now, and some of you have sent me worried messages asking me, is everything right, is something going on, why haven't you been making videos basically. And well, I guess the reason is mostly that I've been very busy with school, lots of things going on, going out also with friends almost every weekend, and sometimes more than once in a weekend. And then on top of that, actually in the last month I've been a little bit depressed. I think possibly because of like a neurochemical imbalance. And yeah, also since I moved in with my girlfriend, I've kind of, developed a new routine, and I guess I kind of lost the habit of making videos. But I think I'd like to get back to making video blogs regularly, just because I think it's a nice way for me to, self-analyze a little bit and, get support from the public, get people's opinions and all that, I mean, I don't do video blogs just because I want to help people. I also do it because it helps me. And yeah, so the last 3 months I've been actually working on quite a few things at once. I'm still preparing for my pre-doctoral exam, which now is going to happen very soon. That basically means I'm going to have to submit a big written report that describes my doctoral thesis project and go and present it orally in front of a panel of a few professors that are going to be the judges. And basically they're going to judge, whether or not they think my project is reasonable, well-planned, things like that. And well, that's a little bit stressful. I guess I'm not really worried about failing that exam, because I'm pretty confident I have a solid project. But it's a lot of work, and it is an exam, another exam to take care of. So that's been taking some of my time. Also, I've been working on an article submission for an upcoming conference with the rest of the team at school. The deadline has passed. We submitted the article and it got accepted, so that's pretty good news. It's going to be my first publication for my PhD, and I'm going to be presenting, to be giving the talk at the conference myself. So that's pretty cool, I'm pretty happy about that. But now, of course, the presentation, the paper's accepted, but I have to make some corrections to it, because when they accept papers, they also give you, criticism on things that you should improve. So it's a little bit of extra work, but fortunately not that much extra work. Also, I've been writing, lots of code, because my thesis project is a project that involves implementing a JavaScript compiler, and that's a lot of work. There's a lot of lines of code to write. That's been taking up some more of my time. Yeah. Apart from that, what did I do recently? I attended the Toronto Torture Garden near the end of May. Look it up if you don't know what that is. I've got some blonde streaks in my hair. It was actually an idea from my hairdresser, and people seem to like it. If you don't like it, don't tell me. I don't want to know. And I've also been planning to get a tattoo, actually. A friend of mine put me in touch with a tattoo artist in Montreal that's very good, and I went to meet with him and discuss ideas for the tattoo. It's going to be a phoenix bird in my back, and not just any phoenix bird. It's going to be like a robot mechanical bird. Of course it's got symbolic meaning for me. Phoenix symbolizes rebirth, and it's also one of my my middle names, if you will. Well, it's not actually my middle name, but it's one of the first names that's on my birth certificate, Phoenix. So it's got a special symbolism for me, and I chose to make it mechanical because I just, love machines. They're like a big part of my life anyways. And my girlfriend was actually very surprised when I told her that I wanted to do that. She's in favor of it. She's in favor of it, but she was surprised because she told me, when I met you 3 years ago, you would have never wanted to get a tattoo. And she's totally right. At the time I was actually kind of slightly against the idea of tattoos in general, you know, really didn't like them. But I guess I've changed a lot as a person since then, quite possibly because of my transition. You know, I'm trying to, you know, just be more myself and do what I want to do in life and be happier, so that's probably got something to do with it. Also, another thing I've done recently is I took some little project that I've worked on in the past called Gradient. It's an artificial life simulation that I wrote a couple of years ago, where you have some like little insects in a 2D grid world that can walk around and eat food and drink water, and they're controlled by artificial neural networks. But the thing is, when the world starts, when the simulation starts, all the insects are controlled by randomly connected neural networks, and then basically over time they evolve intelligence because of evolutionary pressure. Because if they don't eat food and drink water, they're going to die. So eventually, after, you know, creating sufficiently many random insects, one of them is going to, you know, by accident eat some food and be you know, more fit for survival than the others and survive more and be able to reproduce and all that. I guess if you're interested in that, I'll put the URL at the bottom of the screen. Basically, I took this project and I ported it to JavaScript. So if you have a recent browser like Google Chrome, you can actually see it in your browser. And yeah. Well, apart from all those things, I guess, yeah, like I said, I had a lot of stress recently, which possibly caused my, you know, short bout of depression that lasted about a month. I think the most stressful thing in my life right now has been that I've had a pretty stressful dynamic with my thesis supervisor. I guess, you know, we had some different ideas about what we wanted to do. He's got some very specific ideas about how he wanted, you know, specific details of the implementation of our JavaScript compiler to be done, and I had some other ideas. And basically, you know, I kind of started this whole compiler project when I came for my PhD thesis, but it's become a team project where several students are involved in working on different components. And what's been happening is that, you know, more and more I started feeling like I was losing control of my PhD project, basically. You know, I had some ideas of what I wanted to do, you know, specifically for my PhD thesis, and these ideas involved, you know, designing the compiler in a particular way, and it just seemed like, you know, all the time the needs of other students, you know, would like block my way. You know, like there's this other master student who was working on a project, and I would have needed him, you know, to do things a certain way, and he was completely unwilling to help and unwilling to do that. You know, and that was really frustrating for me. And at the same time, my supervisor, you know, was contradicting my ideas at every turn. It just seemed, you know, I would bring an idea to one of our group meetings, and then, you know, my supervisor would like contradict me and say, no, we need to do things another way. And it just seemed like, you know, every group meeting that I went to and I presented an idea, I was just getting grilled every time, you know, like, you know, why do you want to do it this way? Why can't you do it this other way instead? Blah, 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 blah. And all of this eventually just got too frustrating, too stressful for me. And I went to my supervisor and I told him, you know, like, there's this critical part of the project that I need to work a certain way for my PhD thesis. You know, could you, like, basically grant me, you know, control over this part of the project, over the design decisions that go into it. You know, could you grant me like a veto right, basically, on this critical component of the project that I had been working on since the start of the project? And he basically said no. He said, you know, I can't give you any guarantees that we won't challenge any technical decisions that you've made. And to me, that was just, like, as we say in French, la goutte qui fait déborder le vase. It's the drop that makes the bucket overflow. It basically means, like, at some point, you know, you just have so much pressure on you, and like you just can't take it anymore, you know, like, it just started, like I said, to feel like I was losing control over my project, and I had many stressful arguments with my supervisor. Apparently, it's been stressing him too as well. He told me he was losing sleep over it, and so I just told him, I'm gonna apply to another university for my PhD. I'm gonna, see if they won't accept me, and if I can't move, the project over there, basically, and split apart from the rest of the team. And well, he wasn't too into that idea, so he proposed another compromise instead, which is that basically we split the project into two. There's going to be two versions of the compiler, and yeah, basically I'm going to be working on my version separately from the rest of the team. And that's good. It's got advantages and it's got downsides, obviously. The advantage is that I get to have control over the project. Right now my supervisor isn't really bugging me or trying to impose technical decisions on me. The disadvantage is obviously that there is no more team dynamic for me, like the rest of the team is working on the other compiler, and what the rest of the team has decided to do is to scrap the compiler and start over from scratch. So the rest of the team is going to be building a whole other compiler from scratch, and I'm going to have my own compiler that's going to be sort of competing with theirs. And, that's kind of stressful and annoying, honestly. But I've spoken basically with, my master's supervisor from this other university that I've been applying to. Is basically the university where I did my master's, and I spoke to my supervisors there, and they told me, don't change university unless you really can't do it any other way, because it's too much trouble. Yeah, so I basically chose to stay at my current university and try to make the best of the situation. But like I said, it's stressful. Like, I'm working on the project alone now, which has its advantages. Basically, I don't have to ask people for permission. I don't have to wait for other people to be done working on things. But the major downside is basically, that I'm kind of alone and kind of stressed about either having to compete with a team of several other people. I've actually been thinking that maybe for my project I should be setting up a blog and discussing what I'm doing, and perhaps also seeking open source contributors, because it's actually the compiler is already open source. I'm not going to give you the URL for the repository because I feel like right now it's I'm in the middle of making big changes. But maybe if you're interested in implementing in working on a JIT compiler in JavaScript, maybe you could contact me and maybe you could contribute to the project. Otherwise, I'm thinking that maybe by starting a blog I'll attract attention from people and get some good ideas and get a little bit of help online. But I guess I'm not too worried about completing my PhD, because basically the compiler is already fairly complete. It already works. It already supports enough of JavaScript for me, I think, to make a fairly interesting thesis on top of it. But of course, more manpower, more help means that I can, make it more complete and more usable by real people. Because, it kind of sucks. A lot of projects come out of universities, in programming languages and tools, and a lot of the tools that get released are basically unfinished, because when people are doing theses like mine, like, you don't have time to really polish a full commercial product for release to the public. So things are often, kind of hacked together. And I'd like to avoid that for my project. If my project could actually find a usefulness in the real world, that would be better. So I guess that's it for today's video blog. Like I said, I think I want to do some more blogs. I was thinking maybe of starting doing question and answers blogs again. Like, so if you have questions that you'd like me to answer about my transition, about my work, about other details of my life, you can feel free to ask me those questions, and I'll possibly answer them in another video blog, or otherwise answer you directly. And yeah, you could also suggest video blog topics to me if there's anything trans related or otherwise that you'd like me to discuss. That's it for today, people. Bye bye.